taking a piece of tape and I removed most of the stickiness. This is a crucial step to this eye look. Because it is a cat eye, you want the edge to be super sharp, so the tape will help you achieve that. So you pretty much want the tape to be a continuation of your lower lash line. So it's almost like this part of your eye is continuing upwards. That's going to be your guide. Like so, and then you want to press down on it firmly so there are no air bubbles. So once you have your tape down, now you can take your primer. I'm using my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that on my finger and apply that all over my lid. Now, in order for your eyeshadows to blend really nice and easy, you want to put a creamy color all over your lid. So I'm going to take Blanc Type from MAC, and on a flat shader brush, this is the Sigma E35, I'm going to take a little bit of this and just apply this all over my lid, as well as up to my brow bone, pretty much everywhere. Next, you want to take a dark gray color. This is Soot or Soot or however you pronounce it. This is just the color that we're going to be used sort of like as our transition between the black and like this skin tone color. So you want to grab a clean pencil brush and you just want to start building this right on the outer edge of the eye. So just pat it right where the tape meets the skin, and then bring it towards the lower lash line, like so. This color is pretty much going to be the base for the black. With this type of look, you really want to build it up very, very slowly, and it's all about layering. So the more colors you layer and the slower you go with the blending and everything like that, the better it's gonna look. Because you want this look to be really nice and seamless and blended. So by layering the colors, it's really gonna achieve that. I'm now going to take a blending brush. This is the MAC 217, and I'm going to grab Wedge from MAC. You just need any mid-tone matte brown color, and I'm going to apply a little bit of that on my brush, and I'm just going to start buffing out this color right on the outer edge, also like where the gray meets the color on the eye. You just want it to be nice and blended. And this brown is warm, so it's really going to counteract with the cool tones and make a really nice contrast. So you just want to run the wedge along this color to blend it. I'm now going to take Carbon from MAC. This is just a matte black eyeshadow. Use any matte black eyeshadow that you want. And I'm going to use this on a pencil brush. This is the MAC E30 Pencil Brush. And I'm going to apply some of this right on the outer edge of my eye. So you pretty much want to bring the black down into a triangle shape. You don't want to go farther than the middle of your eye. So I'm just going to map out that triangle shape. And then I'm going to start packing on the color. Once you have some of the color on the eye, you want to buff it out with some of the wedge once again. So I'm just going to take the same brush and just start blending it out just a little bit so it's nice and smooth. I'm going to go back in with the gray color and just touch it up in case we lost any of the intensity while blending. I'm also going to bring a little bit of the gray color right into the crease. Now don't forget that this is a cat eye look, so you really want to keep most of the attention and all of the eyeshadow on this part of the eye and less attention on this part of the eye, because by putting the darker colors all around here, you're really going to be pulling out your eye and making it look very nice and cat-like. So I'm just going to continue to build up that gray color, and then I'm going to go back with my other blending brush with the wedge color and just blend it out. So you want to keep on repeating this until you're happy with what you've got. I'm going to go back in with my pencil brush and I'm going to intensify that black once again. You really want that outer corner to be very, very intense with the black. You don't want to be shy with this. You also want to bring the black a little bit into the crease, but definitely not too much. I'm now going to go back in with my wedge color and just blend a little bit more. Right on the upper edge especially. Now I'm just going to intensify the outer corner one last time before I remove the tape. Because once you take the tape off, you really can't go back. So you got to make sure that you like what you see. And I'm going to blend that outer edge one last time before I remove the tape. So once you're happy with your cat eye, you want to slowly remove the tape. Be careful with this. Please do this very slowly because you really don't want to pull on your eye too much. And this tends to hurt a little bit. So I'm just going to take off the tape, and as you can see, it reveals an absolutely perfect crisp line. Now I don't want to line my eyes with a gel or a liquid because I really don't want it to be too harsh. I'm going to line it with a pencil, but I'm actually going to put the pencil on a brush so that I have a little bit more of a precise application with it. So I'm just going to take some of the pencil and I'm just going to rub the brush onto the pencil. I'm using a flat definer brush. This is the E15 by Sigma. And then as soon as I have some of the product on the brush, I'm going to start defining my upper lash line. So I'm pretty much just going to wiggle the brush right into my upper lash line. I don't want it to be too crazy defined, but I definitely want some definition there. Now, as for the inner corner highlight as well as the brow bone highlight, I'm going to take Shroom from MAC, which is just a really pretty sparkly shimmery color, and on a concealer brush, and then I'm just going to apply it right to my brow bone. I love using this brush. Oh, it's so good. And I'm also going to apply it right to my inner corner. So I'm now going to go off camera and put on some falsies. I highly recommend putting falsies on with this look, especially with a cat eye look like this. You want falsies that are very full right on the outer corner, or you could even use half lashes that really wing out your eye like this, and it really will just accentuate that wing and just make it look even more cat-like. So I will be right back. So for my primer, I'm going to take this Clinique Redness Solutions Daily Protective Base with SPF 15. I really like this because I have pretty red skin. I mean, I don't know if you can really tell on camera, but I'm pretty red around my cheek area, my nose area, and this really helps correct that, and it makes my foundation go on a lot smoother, and it just makes my foundation go on a lot nicer in general. And as you can see, it has like a greenish tint to it, which will cancel out the redness on my face. And I'm just going to apply this all over my face, but mainly concentrate it like where I'm the most red, which is the center of my face. For my foundation, I'm going to take my L'Oreal True Match Lumi Foundation, and I'm using my Sephora number 45 foundation brush. Now it's time to conceal, correct, and highlight. So to highlight, I'm actually going to be taking my Yves Saint Laurent Touche Eclat highlighter. So down the bridge of my nose, on my forehead, on my chin, Cupid's bow, underneath the cheekbones, and that's pretty much it. Now to correct, I'm going to take my Bobbi Brown Corrector. This is in Porcelain Peach. This is just a peach tone corrector that is great for canceling out dark circles underneath the eyes. So I am just applying this underneath my eyes, and it will pretty much prep it for the concealer that I'm going to be putting on top of it in a second. And then for my concealer, of course, I'm using my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NC20, and now I'm just going to apply this right underneath my eyes. Use the brush to blend out the majority of it. And then once you get closer to your eye, just use your finger. Now to set my under eye area, I'm taking my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette, and I'm going to be taking this color right over here called Dim Light, and I'm going to use that to set my under eye area. And I'm going to use my tapered highlighter brush from Sigma. This is the F35, my favorite setting brush, and just set my under eye concealer. So now that we have our concealer on, I'm going to finish off the rest of the under eye area. So I'm actually going to take the brush that I used before, and I'm not going to apply any more product on it because I don't want it to be too intense. And I'm going to put a little bit of the black right underneath my lower lash line. I'm then going to take the really fluffy brush that I used with Wedge, and once again not applying any more product on it, and I'm just running it underneath the black to warm it up a bit and to blend it out. And then to really make my eyes pop, I'm going to line my waterline with some black eyeliner. This is obviously optional, but I really think it really completes the look. I'm now going to go off camera and finish off my eyebrows, and I'm also apply some bottom mascara to my lower lashes. For contour, I'm going to be using my Hoola Bronzer from Benefit, and I'm actually going to take a dual fiber powder blush brush. This is my F15 brush from Sigma, and I'm going to take a little bit of the powder on my brush, and I'm just going to start contouring with this. So right in the hollows of my cheekbones, as well as on my temples and my jawline, you know the usual. For blush, I'm going to use my MAC blush in Fleeting Romance. It's just a gorgeous corally, reddish, pinkish blush. I really like it. It's really pretty, and it'll go really nice with this look. And I'm using my Sigma Powder Blush F10, one of my favorite blush brushes. And I'm going to apply that to the apples of my cheeks and then blend it towards my temples. But really concentrate it right at the apples. And of course for my highlight, I'm taking my Becca Opal highlighter, the most gorgeous highlighter ever. And on a fan brush, I'm just going to apply this to the tops of my cheekbones and sort of connect it to my brow bone. With a look like this, a highlight goes a long way. It's beautiful. I'm also going to apply it to my top of my lip, my Cupid's bow, and lightly right on the bridge of my nose. Now, I didn't really want to go for the classic nude lip for this look. I wanted to go for more of like a brighter pink, so I'm going to be taking Snob from MAC. But first, I'm going to line my lips with my Boldly Bare lip liner. Now, of course, to add a little bit of shine to my lips, I'm going to take a Buxom lip gloss. This is in the color Sophia. I don't know if they sell this full size, but I did get a little sample of it, and I've been loving it, and it looks amazing on top of this lip gloss. So once you're done applying the lipstick, you're pretty much done the whole entire makeup look.